Hey gearheads, welcome back to the channel. Now I love a good DIY project, especially when it comes to cars. But sometimes those DIY car repairs can go hilariously wrong. Trust me, I've seen it all. From folks using duct tape where it doesn't belong to engines that sound like they're auditioning for a heavy metal band. So to save you some blood, sweat, tears, and maybe even a few bucks, I've compiled a list of the top 5 DIY car repair fails that'll have you laughing all the way to the repair shop. Stick around, you don't want to miss this. Now we've all been there. You're under the hood, wrench in hand, feeling like a real grease monkey. But the truth is, using the wrong tools is a recipe for disaster, kind of like trying to eat soup with a fork messy and ultimately ineffective. I once saw a guy try to change his brake pads with a butter knife. A butter knife. Another time, a friend of mine decided he'd save a few bucks by changing his own oil using a turkey baster. The moral of the story? Invest in the right tools, folks. Think of it this way, you wouldn't use a hammer to tighten a bolt, would you? So, do yourself a favor, invest in a decent set of tools, and save the culinary utensils for their intended purpose. We live in the age of the internet, where information is just a click away. But sometimes that information can be about as clear as mud, especially when it comes to car repair tutorials. Watching someone else fix a car online and actually doing it yourself are two very different animals. I once stumbled across this video tutorial on how to replace a car battery. The guy in the video forgot to mention that you should disconnect the negative terminal first. Let's just say there were sparks, there was smoke, and I'm pretty sure the battery is now orbiting the Earth somewhere. The takeaway here? Online tutorials can be helpful, but they're not a substitute for experience, common sense, or a good mechanic. So, before you grab your wrench and start tearing into your car based solely on a YouTube video, maybe consider cracking open a repair manual or calling a professional. We're all guilty of it, skimming through instructions, skipping steps, thinking we know better. But when it comes to car repairs, shortcuts can lead to some seriously long detours. Case in point, my buddy, let's call him Speedy, decided to change his brake pads. He skipped the part about properly lubricating the caliper pins. The result? A screeching sound and a hefty repair bill when his brakes decided to take an early retirement. Another classic example is people skipping steps when changing their oil, completely forgetting about actually putting new oil back in the engine. So, the next time you're tempted to bypass a few steps, just remember, a little patience and attention to detail can save you a whole lot of headaches and money down the road. The DIY paint job, the ultimate test of patience, skill, and the ability to laugh at your own mistakes. Let's be honest, we've all seen those cars driving around with paint jobs that look like they were done by a blindfolded toddler, wielding a spray can. Take, for instance, the time my neighbor decided to repaint his vintage Mustang. He spent weeks sanding, priming, and prepping the car, carefully watching YouTube tutorials and reading every car forum he could find. He even built himself a makeshift paint booth in his garage. And then, disaster struck. One curious squirrel and a poorly timed leap later, his pristine paint job was adorned with a set of tiny paw prints. The moral of the story? When it comes to DIY paint jobs, even the best laid plans can go awry. So, unless you're particularly fond of the rat rod aesthetic, it's probably best to leave the auto body work to the professionals. Now, we're getting to the heart of the matter, literally. The engine is the beating heart of your car. And unless you know what you're doing, poking around under the hood is a bit like performing open heart surgery with a spork in a YouTube tutorial. One of the most common and potentially catastrophic mistakes DIers make is messing with the timing belt or chain. Get it wrong and you'll be facing a symphony of destruction that'll have your wallet crying the blues. Another classic blunder is forgetting which bolt went where when reassembling the engine. So unless you're a qualified mechanic or have a burning desire to turn your car into an expensive lawn ornament, it's best to leave the heavy-duty engine work to the professionals. Remember folks, there's no shame in admitting defeat when it comes to the inner workings of your car's engine. So, there you have it folks, a crash course, pun intended, in the world of DIY car repair fails. From botched paint jobs to engine mishaps that would make a mechanic weep, we've covered it all. Remember, while tackling car repairs yourself can be rewarding, it's crucial to know your limits. Always double-check your steps, use the right tools, and don't be afraid to call in the professionals when needed. Now, I want to hear from you. Share your most epic DIY car repair fails in the comments below. Until next time, keep on wrenching, but maybe, just maybe, keep a fire extinguisher handy.